Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Boise State Public Radio, because of you.
If I'm committed to listening, I'm committed to seeing that you stay on the air, among other things. But it's a way of saying thank you as well. That monthly amount that goes out of my bank account without my ever noticing it is a way, really, to say thank you and I support you.
We do it because of you. Thank you for your support at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Boise Contemporary Theatre is preparing to premiere a new play later this month. It will take audiences back to a pivotal moment in modern history, the 1953 coup in Iran. The play is called Ajax, written by Iranian-American playwright and filmmaker Habib Yazidi. The story centers on an Iranian gardener at a villa and the unexpected friendship that he forms with an American guest. It's a story rooted in real-life events, but it's told with comedy and satire, even a dose of absurdity, until, as the playwright says, it isn't funny anymore. We're lucky enough to have the playwright, Habib Yazidi, joining us now to talk more. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Gemma.
So, Habib, for people who may not know this particular history, what is Ajax about? And who is this main character at the center of the story?
Ajax is about the United States coup in Iran in August of 1953. And that coup happened over a 2-week period. And it was the first sort of international CIA operation to overthrow a foreign government, which was led by Kermit Roosevelt, who is the grandson of Teddy Roosevelt.
So you described the play, as I mentioned, as a comedy, but it's about a coup. That is a combination that I would say we don't see very often. So what made you want to look at a very serious moment in history through the lens of humor?
So when I was reading more about the events and how they were carried out, and Kermit Roosevelt, he wrote a whole book about this, actually. When you read it and you read the narrative from his point of view, it just sounded like he was having fun. Like I was saying, there really wasn't a precedent for this kind of thing in terms of the CIA had only just been created a handful of years ago, prior to 1953. And this being one of their first missions of this sort, this kind of overthrow, you get the sense that, Kermit is having fun. He's making it up as he's going along. He's having parties around a pool. They're playing music and records and drinking. And that kind of struck me as a really sort of interesting way into looking at the story. And it felt very absurd to me given, the huge consequences this coup had. So I was interested in looking at it from the point of view of a comedy and employing absurdism.
Okay, so you mentioned, Kermit, having fun around a pool, the whole thing. My understanding is that there's an actual pool on stage in the play. Without giving too much away, can you kind of explain why you decided to use this in the play?
Yeah, it might start to get heady. I'll try to find the simplest version.
Okay.
There is a pool. There is a pool on stage. I'm very excited about that. So I'm excited for folks to see how the design looks. The design team has been doing incredible work. The pool emerged from the history that I just mentioned. But in Iran, and when I was growing up, we would visit my family there over the summers, and then I eventually went to high school there for a little bit. But many of the older houses, they have in their gardens what we call a hoz, which is a sort of shallow pool that's there for decorative reasons, but also sometimes like laundry would get washed in there, and it'd just be a nice kind of sort of feature to gather around. And so it's inspired by this architectural feature of hoz and what I imagined, in the places Kermit might stay, like at villas, they would have. And
Mm.
so the idea of thinking about like a pool as having this sort of significance in these settings, and it sort of coming to life and being a character in this absurd mode of the play just very much excited me. And so we really fully got to develop it with our wonderful director and actors into a full sort of character in the play.
So I know you mentioned, I mean, the play is rooted in the 1953 coup in Iran, and the CIA helped overthrow Iran's democratically elected prime minister. And I think it's fair to say that these events, whether people know a lot about them or not, really did reshape Iranian politics, as well as the U.S. Iran relations. So I'm curious about what drew you to this moment in history and thinking, you know what, I can write a play, I can put this on stage.
Yeah, it was a story that I heard growing up. For my grandfather was very political,
Mm,
and he had a photo of Mossadegh at his apartment in Paris, which is where he was living in exile. And I remember as a kid asking him who that was because the photo was so prominently placed in the living room. And he's the one that told me about this sort of almost like alternate history that he imagined might have happened if Mossadegh had not been overthrown. It had meant a lot to the people of his generation that there was a very popular, charismatic leader who had nationalized the oil and was potentially putting Iran on the path to self-determination and economic prosperity. And many in his generation felt that that course was kind of thwarted, and they look back on it. It's when we think of where Iran's history has gone since, it's like, oh, this was a kind
mhm,
of moment that really mattered. So I heard about it growing up, and then for my 16th birthday my mom gave me Stephen Kinzer's book All the Shah's Men, and that book had a really profound effect on me, and I would keep going back to it and reading it over the years. And so it's a story that I just really thought about a lot. And I finally thought of it as a play because the history felt so alive for me. And theater is this immediate sort of, real life thing where you're seeing people there on stage. So I thought
mhm.
it could be the perfect medium for bringing it to life and making it feel relevant for audiences today.
How did your personal connection with Iran? Because I mean, as you said, you have family there still, you have friends there, you went to high school there for a little while. How did that help you approach telling the story?
Sure. Yeah. So when I was reading Stephen Kinzer's book, there's a very small paragraph towards the end of the book that suggests Kermit knew about Iranian hospitality and used it against Mossadegh. And I related that to all my experiences of hospitality that I had in Iran, and much of it's shaped by a custom we have called taarruf. And it's a system of etiquette that's really deeply embedded in Iranian culture and language. So much so that I believe it kind of makes you think in certain patterns and think in certain ways when you learn all of these taarrufs or these customs and etiquettes. And so that became the connection that I had to the material and what became a huge part of the play. The play is very heavily steeped in taarruf, and uses it as its main gesture.
Mm.
And it's one of the things that I think if folks come out, they'll learn a lot about.
I'm thinking that when audiences come to watch this play, which is about U.S. involvement in Iran in 1953, um, it's going to likely be difficult not to think about the complicated relationship between the two countries right now, in particular in light of the war that is happening in Iran today. So, in your opinion, what does looking back on history help people understand about where we are right now in terms of our country's current relationship with Iran?
I think it offers context, and I think context is everything when we're thinking about history and politics. And I think it's important to fully examine, where context might begin. I think sometimes our starting point for looking at it is too soon.
Mm. You know, your work often blends comedy with cultural memory. Do you use humor as a way to maybe make complicated or painful history more accessible for audiences and in terms of maybe, understanding it a little bit more?
I think comedy really gets us in a mode where we're disarmed, and so we're ready to engage with another sort of point of view or culture, and I really love that about comedy. But I will also say, if I had been attempting to write this play today, now with the war going on, I don't know that I could have immediately written it as one. I
Mm,
started working on this play almost 5 years ago. And I've just been thinking about this a lot as we're going into this production. It
mhm.
would have been a lot harder for me to write this as a comedy right now.
Yeah. Not only have you made films that have premiered internationally, we should let folks know that you produced the PBS series United States of Comedy. And here you are now world premiering your latest work in Boise, of all places. So I'm curious about what it means for you to have this particular play about international politics, about cultural identity, making its debut in a place like Idaho.
Oh, well, I love Idaho. I had never been here until I got to develop the play through a festival at Boise Contemporary Theatre called the BIPOC Playwrights Festival. And what
Hmm.
I found in Boise was such welcoming and passionate theater going audiences that it made me really excited to be bringing this play here and to come back and to work with the amazing team at Boise Contemporary Theatre. I also learned that you mentioned kind of what the play is about, and
Hmm.
it's not lost on me that and I hope I'm not getting this incorrect, but I think I heard that Boise was one of the maybe the second they took in the second most amount of refugees than any other city in the United States.
Per capita. Yeah.
Yeah, per capita. So I don't know. That was really exciting to me, it made me really excited to be bringing this play here.
So before I let you go, what are you hoping that audience members think about, or maybe even argue about on their way home from the play the evening they see it?
I hope they have I hope they take away, we talked about Todorov. I hope they take away the notion of that Iran has a lot more complexity and the culture has a lot more depth than whatever they might be currently reading about right now. And
Mm.
I hope they come away with a sense of that. That would be great.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time for us. I know how busy you are getting this play up and ready to premiere. So thanks for taking time for us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Gemma.
Absolutely. We've been speaking with playwright Habib Yazidi about his latest play, Ajax. It will run from April 22nd through May 9th at the Boise Contemporary Theatre. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Make sure you check out our podcast feed because you can find more episodes of topics that might be interesting to you. And for more local news and headlines, make sure you subscribe to the Connector podcast. If you learned something from this episode today, share it with someone else who needs to know about it.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.